This episode of Horror Movie Talk is made possible by listeners like you. Hello and welcome to Horror Movie Talk, an opinionated and accidentally funny horror movie review show. Your schlubby hosts each week are Bryce Hanson, the cool, collected nihilist, and David Day, an angry man who is always calm. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. I'm Bryce Hanson.
I'm David. Hey,
Sorry.
Where am I?
Let's do an effect.
And
Because why not? I'm Bryce Hanson.
And I'm David Day. We like sounds.
I've been playing around with the effects on this thing. Probably a little too much, and I still don't remember where anything is.
If there were a way to synthesize my voice into just fart sounds, that would be great. If we could just kind of morph it into a bunch of toots, that'd be great.
I'm not sure that we'd be able to tell a difference.
You guy.
So, first off, let's just plug our website, horrormovietalk.com. Very easy to remember. Go there for links to all our social media, as well as links to all the different podcast platforms that you can subscribe on. We post new episodes every Wednesday, so please subscribe. And if you can, leave a review of the podcast on iTunes. We got a great show today.
Great show.
We're going to be talking about The Dead Don't Die.
This came up so quiet in my feed, and man, and I was like, oh, another corny meta zombie movie. This is gonna be. I don't care about this. Oh, look, they got Bill Murray. That's kind of cool. But man, it did not disappoint. I got to tell you, I'm really glad we went to go see this movie. I'm excited for this episode. This is gonna be a good episode.
Yeah, we had originally scheduled Child's Play, the original, to get ready for the remake next week that comes out.
Yeah,
and I guess this week if you're listening to us right now. But The Dead Don't Die was coming out. I knew that it was going to be kind of a limited release, and so I wasn't sure. I think the only theater that I saw it advertised being opened in was Cinema 21 in Portland. It's kind of a hassle to drive all the way in.
Yeah.
But yeah, the trailer's really great. It won me over. I'm like, yeah, we kind of got to see this movie. And we've seen success with kind of more art house horror movies in terms of downloads, so yeah. I wanted to make sure that we covered it.
The thing about it is this really is like this is a very well made and well intentioned, like with a good point behind it. You know, it's got an interesting social commentary.
Right.
That's good.
Yeah. It's a really we'll how we go about our episodes is about... Let's do this again. So how it works here at Horror Movie Talk is we start out giving a brief review and our score for the movie. We score on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a miserable dredge where it makes you angry that you just watched it, 5 being a completely average film that hits all the expected marks but doesn't excite you or delight you in any way, and 10 being so good that it transcends the horror genre boundaries in importance. After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. And then later on, we have a couple bits where we'll be doing taglines, perennial favorite, as well as covering some horror movie news. There's a couple really cool items that came out just this last week and a half or so that I'm excited about talking about with you. So let's get into the review. We saw The Dead Don't Die, and it's a lot of things. It's a meta, dark, social commentary, comedy, zombie horror movie from Jim Jarmusch. And we liked it.
Yeah.
Here is the trailer.
In this peaceful town, on these quiet streets, something terrifying, something horrifying is coming.
Excuse me, we're closed. Get away from me!
What the hell was it?
A wild animal?
This is really awful. Maybe the worst thing I've ever seen.
Well, was it wild animals?
So what are you thinking?
I'm thinking zombies.
What?
You know, the undead. Ghouls.
You look gorgeous. Oh my. Are you in this together?
Flesh-eating zombies.
Don't joke. It's really, really creepy.
Oh, man. This isn't going to end well. They gravitate towards things they did when they were alive.
Coffee.
Chardonnay.
Did she just say Chardonnay?
Yeah, she did.
Welcome to my world, zombies.
I've been telling you this is all going to end badly.
Well, that's unfortunate. I'm quite confident of my ability to defend myself against the undead.
I can see that.
Excuse me.
Those are some pretty good cuts. You played some minor league ball, didn't you?
Well, a little Class A. It was a long time ago.
So The Dead Don't Die can be found in theaters now. The film is set in Centerville, USA, a real nice place.
Quote, in quotes.
And follows two police officers, Chief Cliff Robertson, played by Bill Murray, and Ronnie Peterson, played by Adam Driver.
The dreamy Adam Driver. Ooh.
Their sleepy routine of handling minor misdemeanors in the sleepy town is disturbed by a grisly double homicide at the town's one and only cafe. Since Centerville is such a nice place, the first assumption is that it's some animal, or several animals that did it. But Ronnie Peterson correctly guesses...
I'm thinking zombies.
What?
You know, the undead. Ghouls.
Ghouls.
Fucking love how he says ghouls. Ghouls.
Ghouls.
I mean, you had to cast Adam Driver just for the pronunciation of that word.
Ghouls.
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 Apparently, polar fracking that they've been hearing about on the news has inadvertently caused the Earth to go off axis and the dead to rise from their graves.
Yeah, you know, it's just one of those things when the Earth starts spinning funny. Morty. The Earth starts spinning funny, and then all kinds of natural shit gets all fucked up.
What follows is a great mix of fourth wall breaking, social commentary, and sardonic comedy horror. This movie has a definite indie feel, which isn't too surprising since writer-director Jim Jarmusch has made a whole career staying on the edges of mainstream. This is actually the first film of his that opened in more than 300 theaters.
Wow.
And I was going to say, like in the beginning, that it's in select theaters, because I think there's only 2 around here that have it running.
That would make sense.
So regardless, you have likely seen or heard of some of his other films, such as Broken Flowers, Ghost Dog, The Way of the Samurai. That's the only one that I've actually seen.
I haven't seen or heard of any of these.
Dead Man, starring Johnny Depp, and recently Only Lovers Left Alive, which was starring Tilda Swinton, and it was like a zombie, or not, it was a vampire movie romance thing. Looked pretty interesting. I'm gonna have to go back and watch some of these. I've been wanting to watch Broken Flowers for a long time, but I haven't seen it. Bill Murray, it's supposed to be pretty good, but not great.
Yeah,
so
you know,
I haven't really watched it. It's usually on Netflix or Amazon Prime, and I just haven't got around to it. Bill
Murray's reached that kind of level of weird, like almost. It's a level of fame that I don't it's unprecedented, you know. He's kind of like an urban legend that's alive and moves through people's lives, And it's impressive to me that anyone can get him to actually work on anything now. You know, it's reached that point where I'm like, he's not really an actor anymore. He's more of a, like an extra special person who just moves around the earth, spreading joy, kind of.
Ghost Dog, like I said, that's the only one I watched, starring Forrest Whitaker as a urban samurai. Is basically like a, if I can remember right, maybe like a hitman, but he is really into the way of the samurai, like the writings of, what was that, Tao Te Ching? That book. Anyways, this film actually features 8 actors that have worked in previous Jarmusch films, which has resulted in an embarrassment of riches, including Tilda Swinton, Steve Buscemi, Tom Waits, Chloe Sevigny, Rosie Perez, and RZA.
Woo woo.
The dialogue is as dry as a Mormon wedding, but the world and characters that Jim Jarmusch has created are as charming as the prototypical little American town that Centerville represents. Actually, there is a Centerville, Utah, by the way.
That doesn't surprise me.
It is a precisely written, directed, and acted movie. There is very little fat, but the story and dialogue is given plenty of room to breathe. I'd hesitate to say that general audiences will enjoy this movie as much as Avengers Endgame, but I think there is truly something for everyone. There were many moments throughout that delighted me, and I found myself laughing out loud as well as feeling intense existential dread. While watching it, my score kept going up and up. I highly recommend it. I give it a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, I don't think that's unfair at all. I'm curious to know what caused you the feelings of intense existential dread.
We'll get into it. I mean, it's kind of the thesis of the movie, like what it's talking about.
Right.
The social commentary is
good.
like something that causes me existential dread.
Right.
Just when I start thinking about it.
Okay, good. Then we're on the exact same plane here.
Right. So the other thing, like, I felt vindicated because we had a conversation about how, like, this is not for general audiences, and you pushed back a little bit about it. I think we agree that there's a lot that a lot of people can enjoy in this movie, but in terms of general audiences, people that are going to go see, you know, Godzilla, King of the Monsters or something, or Avengers Endgame is probably like the best example because it made more money than God, but Zilla. But I read a review on Dread Central which gave it like a 2 out of 4 stars and said, like, oh, it's so slow.
Wow.
It's like, oh, it's boring. It's the most boringest movie, and it doesn't give credence to zombie movies. It's like he's never seen a zombie movie.
Oh my god. I know. Okay, now
I'm like,
this is where I'm starting. I'm taking offense at this point. I was mentioning to Bryce while we were watching the trailer. I've seen every fucking zombie movie ever made. I did it to death for years. All I watched was zombie movies. Like, and this is a trope breaking, like a trope shattering zombie movie, but in a lot of different ways, in a lot of those same ways that Shaun of the Dead is and was, but it goes even beyond that. Like it breaks the essential tropes of zombie movies, which is such a breath of fresh air. And if you're I'll just say this: if you're a fan of Shaun of the Dead, this is better than Shaun of the Dead. I'll say that out loud with my mouth.
Well, it's
right
a very
now.
different movie than Shaun of the Dead.
It is a very different.
The trailer reminded me a lot of Zombieland. It was like very kind of tongue-in-cheek, winking at the camera. I can't remember if Zombieland actually acknowledges zombies.
No, none of them do. That's the quintessence. That's the main trope I'm talking about. Which
right.
is, but let's getting back to my quick review, ideas, thoughts. I agree with most of what you said. I don't disagree with any of what you said, and I was just this was a breath of fresh air. It was really fun and well acted, and it had all the essential bits to make it interesting and intense as well.
Right.
You know, like Tilda Swinton was so hardcore and badass in this movie. It didn't even feel contrived. It did at first. When they first introduced her character, I was like, she seems a little try-hardy, and then she just fell right into it.
I mean, that's the thing about movies like this, is that you can say it's very contrived, because it is.
Well,
like,
sure.
Just the whole style kind
Horror
of is,
in general is a little contrived.
Well, yes, but this whole like kind of Coen Brothers indie dialogue kind of thing, Wes Anderson type, it feels very contrived because it is very controlled, and it's like trying to do a very specific thing.
Right.
But it's amazing when it's done well.
Yes.
Like when you can have something so precise and so specific, and like cutting out all of the
unessential
extraneous
fat
levels that are really like crutches for entertainment.
Yes.
It's really impressive when it's pulled off and not pretentious. That's the danger of movies like this, and that one review just basically said like, oh, this is so pretentious, and it's like, yeah, I get it, and I could see how people would say that about this movie, but I don't know. I've seen real pretentious movies, and this one is
not that. Yeah, it's not that. But you know, I'm having a real hard time between a 9 and a 10 here, because I don't think it's that ultimate total genre breaking, boundary breaking movie. It's definitely got a lane.
Yeah.
But I'll go a 9, but it is the highest 9. It's 9.999999. You know, it just is not. It's not sitting in the right lane to be a 10.
Right.
But everything else about it is perfect.
Yeah. So that's our review. So what you scored? Oh yeah, you just gave it 9.999999. So we're doing things a little different. I'm trying to see like how this feels doing a mid-roll for self-plugging.
It worked well. I think in the perfection.
Get into the content a little. But now that you're here, now I have you captive for our self-promotion.
Please help me.
Please, God, please give us your money.
Do it, please.
Visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/horrormovietalk, or you can go to our website, horrormovietalk.com, and click on the button in the banner. We'll talk at the very end a little more about, you know, what that entails. But right now we have one tier, and it's the Horror Movie Talk founding member. And if you get in on the ground floor, I think we're only going to be doing it for this month, the rest of this month, and then we're going to be adding some more tiers. But if you become a Horror Movie Talk founding member, you will have access to all of the added content in perpetuity
for all the tiers,
as long as you're a patron.
Do we have a way to? Is there a way to actually do that? Does that okay?
Yep,
you can do that.
You can support the podcast also if you are going to spend any money on Amazon by clicking through the Amazon button in the banner of our website. Any money you spend on Amazon after clicking on that button, renting a movie or buying a movie, maybe we mentioned a movie in the review today that you're like, I should see that. Maybe I should go see Ghost Dog. And we'll go to Amazon and rent it after clicking through our banner, and we'll get a little slice of that.
Very nice.
Also, Shudder, shudder.com, Shudder, is a horror movie streaming platform akin to Netflix. You might have heard about it if you're a horror movie fan. Well, you can use the code HMT at checkout to get a 30-day free trial, as opposed to the shitty 7-day free trial that they normally
fucking 7-day free trial, man. I want to kill it.
And I honestly, this is just a service to you. We don't get anything from it other than our gratitude towards Shudder.
Yeah.
And
if you another way you can support the show non-monetarily that really, really does help us out a lot is by, first of all, subscribing and rating it. And so if you rate us on iTunes or Stitcher or any place where you listen to podcasts, that helps out a ton. But also, if you share our episode posts, we post on Facebook, Twitter, every episode. If you share that with your social network, that helps us out a tremendous amount. So even if you can't support us monetarily, because we do this for free, y'all get just a bunch of free content delivered to you every week, and we do it out of our love for horror movies and you guys. So the least you can do is just hit a share button. You fucking gal. Jesus Christ. No, but we do appreciate you, and please do share.
Yeah, thank you. Well, that's enough for self-promotion. Thanks again for listening. Let's get into spoilers. Spoilers. Okay, now we can talk. So the movie opens on a graveyard with the cops lazily driving through it and going into the woods. And Bill, probably like one of the first lines is that you, Hermit Bob? And I am on board with any movie with a character named Hermit Bob.
Yeah, Hermit Bob was great. Played by Tom Waits.
Yeah.
Tom Waits he's just making just cameo after cameo in these so the last thing I remember him being in is that Coen Brothers Netflix deal. What was that? The
Ballad of
Sturgill Simpson. No.
Yeah.
The Ballad of
some guy.
The Ballad of some guy on Netflix. That's all you need to search for is the Ballad of, and then you'll get it.
Here, you talk about him. I'll find the title.
Yeah, but he didn't play. He played basically the same character in that
the Ballad of Buster Scruggs.
Buster Scruggs. Thank you. Yeah, he was a gold miner in a short story in the Ballad of Buster Scruggs. Old prospector with the old prospector beard and a little donkey, and he's panning for gold. And he played a guy who basically looked the exact same. He looked just like the way Tom Waits looks now, which is like a hermit named Hermit Bob, and he didn't have a gold panning thing, and he didn't have a little donkey. But other than that, he was that guy. Instead, he had the barrel of a rifle mounted to a 2x4 with a little trigger on the side. Mm-hmm. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it's a great cameo by Tom Waits. The crime that they're investigating is Hermit Bob is accused of stealing one of Farmer Miller's chickens.
Yeah.
It's so quaint.
It's
the quaintness is off the levels.
Yeah, you're introduced to this town, Centerville, and their town slogan in quotes is a real nice place.
Yeah. So like they go and try to talk to Hermit Bob, and Hermit Bob shoots at him, and Adam Driver's like, shouldn't we take him in for shooting at us, the cops? And Bill Murray's character is like, meh. I don't even think he took the chicken. I mean, Farmer Miller is such an asshole.
Such a dick.
So, I mean, you're already like,
and then
getting sucked into this world of Hermit Bob and Farmer Miller.
And then as the two cops are walking away to leave Hermit Bob alone, they're walking away, and Hermit Bob yells at Bill Murray. He's like, "Hey, fuck you!" It's like we're agreeing to let each other be, but also there's a minor amount of animosity.
Right.
Like, it's almost fuck you with a wink and a nod. Like, We didn't we didn't hang out with each other in high school, and now we're old men, and you can exist, but fuck you.
Yeah. So as they're driving back, daylight seems off. It's like 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And
it's starting to get late.
They're like, daylight savings is weird. It's like it feels like the middle of the afternoon still.
Yet another reason why daylight savings is stupid.
And their watches stop working for some reason. Electronics are going weird. And then Adam Driver has the line, yeah, something weird is going on. It's very like self-aware. A lot, especially Adam Driver's character is the most self-aware.
Adam Driver's lines in this character in this movie is the thoughts of the movie. Right. He is this movie incarnated into a character. And so he will progress the story appropriately by saying very overt things like,
this is not going to end well.
Like, this is not going to end well.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously you can hear from the trailer that it's going to break the fourth wall
a lot.
This
is a very meta movie.
Yeah, it starts off really meta early on. The opening, so it has that opening scene, and then there's the opening credits featuring "The Dead Don't Die," the song sung by Sturgill Simpson. I don't know if did he write it for this movie, or was that an existing Sturgill Simpson song? Because they've been advertising this as like the theme song for the movie, so I don't know if it existed before.
That's a really good question. Sorry, Dana. I didn't even think about that beforehand, but I guess I should have because the movie is like a big commercial for Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah. Well, especially for that song.
Yeah.
They play that song about 15 times by the end of the movie.
What a beautiful voice that man has. He's got an angelic old deep country singer's voice.
Yeah. So it's like a full-on opening credits. I think it's like a crawl. I don't think they're showing anything. Oh yeah, that's right. They're driving through the town.
Yeah.
And you see basically every location that's going to be featured in the movie. So you see the mortuary, you see the hardware store, the hotel,
Main Street,
the mini mart, the police station. Everywhere that if you're in the know about zombie movies, you're just looking at all these locations and like, all right, these are all the trope places where people would hole up.
Right. You got Main Street. You got the graveyard.
Very much Main Street, USA.
Got the little cafe.
Anyway, so they play the theme song during these opening credits, and then immediately the next scene is them trying to get information about what's going on, what's going weird, and this exchange happens.
Hey, Cliff, should we listen to the civilian radio?
Sure, go ahead.
Oh, the dead don't die anymore than you were.
Wow, that sounds so familiar.
They're just ghosts inside a dream.
What is that song?
It's The Dead Don't Die by Sturgill Simpson.
Sturgill Simpson.
So, I mean, I can't underline the fact that you just listened to this song in the opening credits.
Right.
They played the full song, and then Adam Driver is, can we listen to civilian radio, which is an awesome line.
Yeah.
Throwaway line. And then he says, it's The Dead Don't Die. And then what you don't hear from this clip is Bill Murray's like, yeah, it sounds really familiar.
I've heard this before.
And Adam Driver's character goes, yeah, it's because it's the theme song.
Yeah, so immediately the movie just breaks apart, the fourth wall.
Yeah. So they hear news reports talking about, as they're not super concerned about the sun not setting and electronics not working. It's like, oh, well, I guess this shit is happening now, as you would. They kind of overhear and you see little clips of news reports talking about polar fracking.
Yeah.
And how it's caused the Earth to go off axis.
Yeah.
And it's so great because it has, the industry experts giving quotes about how, this is just an opinion. We're not, you shouldn't listen to alarmists and stuff. And then it shows these horrific apocalyptic shots of environmental collapse. And like literally it looks like the reenactments of the meteor that made the dinosaurs extinct. Just fire roiling over the hills. And then it cuts back to sleepy old Centerville. They're like, all right. Also, the moon has a weird purple haze around it, and it seems to be kind of spinning.
Which, by the way, I don't know if you guys have taken a look at the moon recently. That fucker don't spin in accordance that you can't see that thing spin.
Right. So it establishes this pretty early on, and it was one of these reveals that this is what makes me really love a movie, is when it deftly reveals the thesis of the movie.
Okay.
To where it gives you just enough to understand, and then you start thinking about the movie in a certain framework, and you're like, oh, wow. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that this was basically the better version of Us.
Right.
Us tried to do this, and it worked to a certain extent. It was like, yeah, I kind of get what he was going for. There's a little social commentary, and there's enough left up for, interpretation or whatever. This one is just a great example of having a very specific statement.
Yes.
And using the framework of a zombie movie to make a very good point.
Yes.
Which is, I wrote this down, ignoring global warming equals zombie movie logic.
Right.
Which is great. It's like everyone should know what's going on.
Right.
When you watch a zombie,
so obvious.
When you watch a zombie movie, like your immediate reaction would be like,
I'm thinking zombies. What? The undead. Ghouls.
Like
ghouls.
If you were, how many zombie movies have there been made? And every zombie movie doesn't mention zombies.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential things that this movie is hinting at. A lot of like technology, like a lot of social commentary from this movie that's like, hey, you are already dead.
Right.
You're not living your life anymore.
Right.
You just sucked into this phone, or you can't stop identifying as Democrat or Republican, or you are not alive, basically.
Yeah. I guess there are many different ways you can interpret it, but specifically for me, it was environmental irresponsibility, specifically global warming, as in like the Earth is going to die.
Right.
And you're just going about your business and being like, I don't know, what can we do?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like there's a specific course of action, kill the head. There's a specific course of action that people should take, and they're just too wrapped up in their own lives and like their routine, and then the symbolism of zombies as consumers,
right,
which are just destroying everything.
Yeah, you could point at this group or that group and say, oh, it's their fault, but really everyone's pretty complicit in the whole thing,
right.
and it's no group. It's human nature that's to blame,
right?
And all you got to do, my human nature is to literally sit down and do nothing until death approaches.
Right.
And so I have to fight that to go make life worthwhile, and the human race has to fight that, that inclination of just like, oh, I'm gonna buy the newest iPhone, buy stuff. We need to accumulate, and it's like, isn't the more important thing the place you live, the planet that's potentially dying?
Yeah.
And I mean, not to get too preachy on this whole thing, but the movie does not smash you over the head like we're doing right now. The movie is very quiet and deft about throwing this
yeah, and it's not so subtle that you wouldn't notice. Like, very, very much the people, like, kind of in the know of what's going on and being aware or concerned are the ones that are driving, smart cars or electric cars.
Yeah.
And, it's really good stuff. And I know that if you hear us talking about that, and I would be too,
it sounds
I'd just
contrived.
Say, like, wow, this sounds really pretentious.
Yeah.
And it sounds like I'm going to get preached to. No, it's like really entertaining, and
well
it plays
executed
with the tropes of zombie movies and comments on these things and uses it in a new way. I mean, zombie movies, it's always been a feature of zombie movies to use zombies as a symbol for mindless modern existence.
Right.
That the zombies are just going through the motions, or they're...
Hell is full, and now it runs over. The gates of hell spill over into Earth.
And even, just the crowds of people, overpopulation, or even consumerists. I don't even think that's a new thing to come out of the zombie genre, but it's used really well in this movie.
Yes, and like I got a heavier tone. Like I didn't get I did get the environmental spin that Bryce got, but I didn't get it as heavy as he got it. I think
that might be. Sorry, I'll let you finish. But I think the thing with me is that's where my existential dread lies.
Right.
And so I went much more towards that, and I was like, oh God.
And my existential dread lies in not being able to see my blind spots. Right? In being so wrapped up into the things that I think are important that I can't see the looming elephant in the room that's really important, and it's going to crush me. And there was a lot of bits in this movie where they were watching the zombies. There was this one particular spot where they were watching Bill Murray and what's his face were watching the zombies do stuff, and they were like, "Oh man, look at them! They're doing the same thing." I know who that is. That's this person. Well, she's doing the same thing she did when she was alive.
So
what that means to me is you're already dead, people. Like, you're not. You think you're living your life, but you're not paying any attention, and you might as well just be a dead person.
Yeah, it hits a little close to home.
Yeah.
On some of those things. I just want to. I wrote this down in my notes. Hermit Bob is living David's best life.
Oh man, he really is. Yeah, I have this constant dream of just dropping everything. Like it's so frequent, and I've had it for so long, of just dropping out of society and driving off into the woods and then walking away from my car, and then it's almost like a death fantasy. It's almost like, well, if I die, then that's what was supposed to be, kind of thing. Because eventually you'll die no matter what. Mm-hmm. Be 60 years, be 6 months or something like that. But at least it will be the rest of my life will be spent focusing on living. Like focusing on trying to stay alive, which is the most important. Like, it simplifies life down to its essential bits. It brings everything into focus and allows you a real clarity, because the question of what's the purpose? What's the purpose of life? And the answer is, of course, there is no purpose. But if you can if you can boil it down into something so pure as staying alive, the purpose of life is to live, then that's a beautiful thing. And Hermit Bob really encompasses that perfectly.
How did it make you feel watching him forage for mushrooms?
Just pure.
Just warm fuzzies.
Yeah, I mean, he's living off the land. He had little comments about other things that didn't quite seem right. You know, he's walking through his ant colony that he knew where it was in the forest, and he's like, the ants are doing something. What are you doing, little guys? And then he's, this mushroom shouldn't be here. And I know that feeling, because it's like, you go to look for this kind of mushroom in these sorts of places, because that's where those mushrooms grow. And he was finding, things are off. And Hermit Bob was way ahead of the curve. And as far as, knowing that something was wrong.
Have you ever found, like, psychedelic mushrooms when you're mushroom foraging?
No. Psychedelic mushrooms, I don't ever look for... So psychedelic mushrooms, I believe, mostly grow in cow turds.
Oh, really?
Or in fields where there are cows and stuff.
Huh.
I think I may be wrong. If I'm wrong, you should let us know. Hop on social media and let us know. But
David goes mushroom foraging every once in a while. And
yeah,
he's shown me his bounty before, and he's like, "Yep, this one would cost like $6."
Yeah,
I bought it at Safeway.
Yeah, yeah. Some of them that are around here, the matsutakis, you can, if you sell, you can find. I mean, you can make hundreds of dollars in the day. Picking matsutakis because they ship them over to Japan because they look like penises, and they taste pretty good too.
Japanese people love their penises,
love those wieners.
So much that they blur them out and all their porn. God damn it!
Yeah, what is that? Why can't I see a wiener over there?
I can't decide if that's the best thing or worst thing about Japanese porn.
Yeah, it's definitely. Hang on. It's definitely one of those things that's so distracting when it happens. When you see a wiener, anything blurred out, you're like, "What's that?"
Yeah.
So your eye just kind of just naturally goes over there, and yeah, that Japanese porn, man,
I've revealed too much. Now people know I watch porn.
Oh, Bryce, you're so dirty.
Okay, the other part that I saw as social commentary was the character of Farmer Frank Miller. Farmer Miller, played by Steve Buscemi, and he's a huge asshole. And it's made very, very clear that the chief of police was not exaggerating. That Farmer Miller is a gigantic asshole. And in the one scene that he has in the diner, and he's wearing a "Keep America White Again" hat.
Keep America white again.
Not super subtle, but really it shows everyone's teaming up. Everyone hates that guy.
Yeah,
and that's their problem, is that guy.
Right.
Causing all the problems in their community. Meanwhile, the world is blowing up.
Right.
And it's like, maybe like the,
maybe the whole is the problem, not the individual.
Right.
Right.
Or the political party definitely. I'll admit that the Republicans they do not have a great track record around global warming, but really, is it conservatism? Is that the problem, or is it we're all destroying the planet together,
right,
and not willing to address it?
Right. And it's like, maybe we could work big to small. Maybe the social stuff that's pretty under control here in America when you compare it to, I don't know, apartheid that's still going on in South Africa, that kind of weird shit. Like, maybe
is apartheid still going on? In South Africa?
There's some really weird shit going on in South Africa.
In terms of like racial tensions, yes,
right.
Yeah, if you compare the U.S. to South Africa,
or a lot of any place, really, there's very few countries that can hang in being woke.
Yeah,
and America, whether you like to admit it or not, is in that higher group. But anyway, long story short, the world coming to an end, much more important than your neighbor's political views.
Yeah, or their, preferred pronoun.
Man, Steve Buscemi, Danny Glover, Bill Murray, Adam Driver, Tilda Swinton, like this, it just smashes you in the face with like, damn, look at the fucking pull of this movie.
Yeah, this will probably be, I will assume, Jim Jarmusch's biggest movie.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that cast is so stellar. And it's like that moment in a real, artistic, creative, independent-minded director to where they cash in their career. They're just like, I've gotten to work with a ton of interesting people over the course of 30 years, and I do it my own way. I allow people to be creative and experience something that's not just mainstream tropey fodder.
Transformers 3.
And so these directors build up this roster of actors that love them.
Right.
They're like, I want to work with him again. I mean, look at Woody Allen. I mean,
Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah. Wes Anderson.
Oh, yeah.
Like all these people have, and there's a lot of crossover, by the way.
Yeah, no kidding.
And they have access to these actors, and they can call in favors and not have to pay them top dollar.
Right. Because it is a privilege to get to work with this guy, because look what he does.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyways, he cashed in like his back catalog of actors in this movie, and it's great. It works out great. Mm-hmm. I mean, the acting in this, it's very subtle, and it's
appropriate.
And I wrote down that like there's not a lot of character development, but there doesn't need to be, or maybe I was just undercutting the character development that there is, because they're all very strong characters. You don't have to like talk about backstories.
Well,
you don't have to talk about like character arcs. They're there, they exist, and they're these type of people.
Right.
And it's made very clear very quickly.
That's the advantage of what he chose, of the characters he chose to make. They're already strong. They don't need a strong backstory because these people, these are this character. Bill Murray is the calm, cool, collected guy who's seen it all and is, he's a lifer of a cop who sleeps in the jail cell when it's his turn to, when it's his turn to pull an all-nighter as part of the very small town police force.
Yeah, and it's kind of maybe that's what it is it doesn't take a ton of effort to establish personalities,
right,
as much as it does to establish character types,
right? And Steve Buscemi's role is a perfect example of that. The first thing you see of Steve Buscemi is him sitting in a diner wearing a "Make America White Again" hat, and that's all you need to know about him,
right?
And you're there,
and what other people say about each other,
right?
Which is, the best way to, establish characters. People talk about Farmer Miller, and he's an asshole, and so you understand that he's an asshole. You see him do a couple actions, say a couple things that establishes, yep, he's an asshole. He's wearing a "Keep America White Again" hat. I'm on board. Fuck that guy.
Everybody's caught up. Yeah.
So anyways, let's get into like the actual zombie part about this zombie movie. So eventually 2 zombies come out of their graves at night, and they attack 2 women in the diner. One of the zombies is zombie Iggy Pop.
I can't believe that. That was Iggy Pop?
That was Iggy Pop.
I'm surprised he's not really a zombie. He's still alive? He outlived David Bowie?
Yeah, that's crazy. So they go in, there's like a grisly, your typical zombie scene, eating flesh. he's like ripping out entrails, but it's still pretty funny.
Yeah. It's
and at
great.
the end, they're like, coffee. And they go and like down the carafes of coffee.
Yeah.
And walk away with a pot of coffee. And you're like, huh.
Yeah.
And that's like the first instance of showing the dead, like, oh, they're just like us.
Yeah, they're just like us. There's no difference.
So we've talked about it already, but the zombies in this film really represent consumers. They each go after what they crave in their former lives, as well as human flesh.
On top of being, killers.
Yeah, and there's many great examples. Hermit Bob, he's kind of the, I don't know if you'd call it a Greek chorus or just like the commentator, the outside voice that's commentating on what's happening inside.
Kind of the
Centerville.
Shamanic force.
Yeah, he says, he has a quote, gathering in cemeteries and dispersing into the suburbs. Ooh. That was another one. I'm like,
Ooh.
Yeah. So a couple examples. There's a scene with a bunch of children zombies that invade the mini mart for candy. There's Carol Kane plays a zombie. She's in the trailer. She wakes up and she's like, Chardonnay.
Chardonnay.
There you go.
Carol Kane, man.
Did she just say Chardonnay? She's like, yep.
It's been forever since I've seen her in anything.
Yeah. She played opposite of Bill Murray in Scrooged, if you remember.
I don't.
No?
Oh, yeah. And obviously, Taxi.
Yep. Yeah.
That's where she got her start.
Also, zombies invading the hardware store. They're all saying tools. I mean, it's not super subtle, but it's entertaining. Like, what's this one gonna say? Like,
if you ever go down to the hardware store and you see that guy, the trope of a man who stands before you and who's just looking at wingnuts.
In a trucker hat, open flannel shirt,
overalls, and he's he's looking at that 3/8 inch all thread, and then he heads on down to the Klein screwdrivers and he's kind of admiring that, but he's there, those were the zombies yelling tools.
So then Bill Murray is called over to the diner in the morning, and each cop shows up in turn. So there's Chief, played by Bill Murray, there's Ronnie, played by Adam Driver, and then there's a third cop, played by Chloe Sevigny. And each of them, in turn, come in and look at the aftermath of the grisly homicide, and it's so great because they use the exact same 2 shots showing the bodies for each one, and then it goes to their reaction. It's like, I don't know. It feels very much like, I don't know. It's
Adam Driver is so perfect for this movie. His reaction, oh, yuck. Oh, yuck. He goes in there, he sees the 2 dead. Oh, yuck.
Yeah, and then they're like, I mean, who would have done it? It looks like an animal might have done it. Or maybe several animals. So, like, each of them, in turn, goes into the diner, looks at the bodies, uses the same 2 shots to show the bodies, and then they come out and have a reaction.
What do you suppose did that?
Almost every one of them says, like, maybe it was an animal.
Maybe several animals.
Or several animals. And so each of them in turn say that until it gets to Adam Driver, in which he says,
I'm thinking zombies. What? The undead. Ghouls.
Ghouls.
So.
Oh, yuck.
Pretty quickly it kind of gets into the full-on zombies, like it goes from 2 zombies to lots of zombies as they're investigating, and Adam Driver, educates everyone to kill the head.
Yeah.
You gotta kill the head. Cut it off, smash it, or whatever. We haven't even mentioned Selena Gomez, but she's in this movie as like a bit part.
Yeah.
And
Selena, man, they had everybody.
Her and her 2 boys that she was with got massacred and
in their hotel room.
And then Ronnie goes in and cuts off all their heads, and he comes out with Selena Gomez's head, and I couldn't put my finger on it why that was so great. Just seeing Adam Driver holding Selena Gomez's decapitated head.
Yeah.
And how great it looked.
It worked really well. You know, the one I want to make sure we don't forget was RZA.
Wait, before we get to that.
Oh, okay,
so,
all right.
So, like, specifically about how great that looked, I saw an interview with Selena Gomez on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and she described how they did that.
Okay.
How did they do that?
It was actually my first time really working with prosthetics. So they put this huge thing around my neck, and they added all this disgusting coloring and gooey stuff all around.
They used your real head?
Yeah.
I thought they used like a fake head.
No, I was there. And basically they sat me on an apple box.
Where's Adam? Adam's here?
Adam, yes. Well, okay.
I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to grab your
Okay, well, that's what he did. So Adam had to grab my hair and pull it up so that my head would kind of, do this dangling look.
I've never heard of that.
No, it was, well, I don't know how they do it. I just, had fun trying.
Yeah.
So.
And so you're dangling. What are you doing? Just acting like this?
He's pulling my hair so tight that he's just swinging my head, and I have to position my body where I go exactly where it's at.
Oh, gosh. It
was just creepy and really funny.
Yeah, it's great.
So, yeah, it was their actual head. Like, that's one of those things that's so...
That's cool.
Like, I mean, a little more care, because, I mean, how
easy would it have been?
No matter how good you make a fake head, it always looks like a fake head.
Yeah. And there's certain circumstances where a fake-looking, like where an animatronic head is disturbing in and of itself,
right?
In its own particular way, in like The Thing kind of way, where it's just like, ugh, that's definitely not real, but I don't like what it is, you know. But it definitely looked great and was well executed in this movie.
Yeah. So let's talk about some of the other bit characters. You wanted to talk about RZA.
RZA, oh man. What a fucking incredible cameo by RZA, because he's the UPS driver, but it's not called UPS, it's called
WooPS.
WooPS.
See, I didn't even connect it. I was thinking, oh, it's whoops, like they throw your package, so it's like whoops.
Oh, I
didn't even connect the Wu-Tang Clan to it.
That's a good way to view it, but no, it is. I mean, that's that right. Too, but it's definitely Wu-Tang Clan, and he was going around delivering packages and wisdom to all of his round on his rounds delivering packages. The comic book store guy was like, hey man, oh man, I have it written down. I'm pretty sure I do.
Oh, I didn't even mention Farmer Miller, but I didn't play this clip.
Is our plan to inform people about the zombie danger before it gets dark?
I guess so.
Because we passed Farmer Miller's place a little while ago. Do we need to inform him?
Fuck Farmer Miller.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
The other main character that we got to talk about is Zelda Winston, played by Tilda Swinton.
Yes,
and she's the, what would you call it, coroner or mortician?
Yeah.
She runs she's new in town, and everyone thinks she's really weird because it's Tilda Swinton, and Tilda Swinton is weird, and it's like basically Tilda Swinton times 10 if she's Scottish.
Right.
And so she plays this Scottish mortician with ridiculous makeup, and she is
what's ridiculous about the makeup?
I don't know what.
It's so, there's so much. She's made up. She's a pretty fair-skinned gal.
Do you ever go on YouTube and you go to like the top trending videos and you see that guy Jeffree Star?
No. I just watched Your Mom's House.
Yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things that I see this guy and I'm like, why is he the most? He's always on the top 10 videos.
Who
and
is
it's
he?
This just really, to me, disturbing looking gentleman. Obviously gay.
Okay.
No eyebrows, which is probably the most off-putting thing to me. No eyebrows, and he's like a makeup tutorial specialist, and he has his own line of makeup. And he's always made up super, super, like, shiny, gaudy eyeshadow, weird, bright colors and stuff. It's basically like that. So Tilda Swinton's character in this movie is probably a big fan of Jeffree Star. And
man, makeup is such a foreign concept to me. It's so, like, I can't even consider making myself, I can't even get out of bed and, like, comb my hair. You know, I could never think enough about my looks to put on makeup. That blows my mind.
I think about, like, yeah, I could make myself look a lot better if I wore makeup because, you know, I always got some red spot or some weird breakout going on.
Cum stains all over the place.
But the trade-off is just not worth it.
No, yeah, you can't dress this pig up.
Yeah.
Put lipstick on it.
Anyway, she's gloriously weird. She is a Buddhist, I guess, and she's doing, like, sword practice. She's got her samurai sword. Very much like the character in The Walking Dead, Michonne.
Yeah.
That has the samurai sword. She's just there to be a badass and be fucking weird.
Yeah.
Heavy Scottish accent, and then also has one of the best scenes where she's making up these two dead bodies, and she's making them up not to, like, look realistic, but basically to look like her.
Yeah,
with this bright, like, aquamarine and like shiny yellow eyeshadow, and anyway, she's great. She's great in the movie, and the ending, which is probably one of the more meta things in the movie, with the ending of her character, is an alien spaceship comes and takes her back to her home planet. I'm just like, yeah, because that's the correct way to use Tilda Swinton, is a super fucking weird character that feels very alien in every way. And then they just comment on that by saying that, yep, she was an alien, bye.
I feel like she's underappreciated. Like, she's very appreciated, but I don't feel like we could appreciate Tilda Swinton enough.
Right.
Because she is so uniquely strange to look at and has such a unique talent for acting.
Yeah.
It's just...
She's fascinating in everything that she does.
Right.
She's... My favorite, one of my favorite roles that she had was in Constantine. She was the Angel Gabriel.
Oh, that's right.
It was, I don't know, I just love that they cast Angel Gabriel as Tilda Swinton. And then
Star Wars, excellent fiction.
That's right. She borrows Adam Driver's car, and Adam Driver has a Star Wars keychain on it. Which I did, for some reason, I didn't even connect to, like, oh yeah, Adam Driver is Kylo Ren from Star Wars.
Oh, wow. I didn't even make that connection either. That's weird.
I thought of that several times.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he's carrying around a sword. I mean, we've seen him kill Han Solo.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But yeah, she takes the keychain and she just notices it's Star Wars, and she goes, oh, Star Wars. Excellent fiction. It's real good stuff. I think we've mentioned this already, but it feels very, very much akin to Coen Brothers. Like, if you like Coen Brothers or Wes Anderson, it's a very similar feel to this. The dialogue's real dry, and it's given room to breathe, and it results in some great matter-of-fact moments. The Star Wars one we mentioned, they're driving along, and Bill Murray notices this zombie girl in a tennis outfit, and he goes, tennis girl's kind of cute. And then the other one was, they're driving by the kids raiding the zombie kids raiding the mini mart, and Bill Murray goes, I know those kids, but they're all dead. It's just like, I mean, how I just appreciate this movie creates a world in which that line can be delivered.
The subtlety of of what that insinuates, like of what,
like that line could be in a movie made by Tommy Wiseau, like very easily. I know those kids, but they're all dead.
Right.
But for some reason, it really works in this movie, delivered by Bill Murray.
Yeah.
So let's kind of wrap up and talk about the ending. We're already over an hour. So Bill Murray turns to Adam Driver and he's like, "Why do you keep saying this isn't going to end well?"
Yeah, because
like you seem so certain.
It's his staple throughout.
Yeah, and Adam Driver's response is,
"I've read the script."
Yeah. Jim gave me the script. I read the whole thing.
You didn't read the script?
And Bill Murray, his response is like, "No, I only read our scenes." He says, "I've done so much for that guy. You don't even know.
Yeah.
What an asshole. What a dick." That's what he says. So it's like, wraps it up in a super, super meta way. As Adam Driver predicts, it does not end well for them. I mean, it's a zombie movie. You can either go one of two ways. They get away or they don't. And, you know, you're kind of told what it's going to be at the end. And then it wraps it up with an end monologue by Hermit Bob or Tom Waits saying, "The remnants of the materialistic people. Guess they've all been zombies. I guess they've been zombies all along."
Yeah.
And then all them ghost people lost their souls, just hungry for more stuff. And it's
I get chills just thinking about that.
Yeah, it's really great. Please go see this movie.
Yeah, support really truly great horror cinema.
Yeah, if you like unique storytelling, unique visions of you know, commenting on old tropes and stuff, go see this movie. I mean, it's like, it gets me so frustrated when people watch Hereditary or something like this movie and you're like, "Oh, it's so slow.
Ugh. It wasn't scary at all.
Nothing ever happens."
It's like, no, it wasn't.
It's not even a good zombie movie. There's barely any kills by the zombies.
Look, if you're not scared by this movie, you don't understand what they're talking about.
Right.
Like, just plain and simple. Because the things that are on the screen, not scary. It's what they're insinuating. That's what's scary. And frankly, what this movie insinuates is scarier than what any other movie could possibly insinuate. So...
Right.
So no, this is not going to spook you and make you scared. But let me tell you, you should be scared by what this movie's talking about.
Right. So who would like this movie?
Anybody who's a fan of meta.
Yeah.
You know, if you have an appreciation for tongue in cheek,
if you like Shaun of the Dead or Zombieland, and have kind of a more indie skew, like, you would really appreciate this movie.
If you want to if you got somebody in your life who's, you know, doesn't have their ear to the ground for cinema, and just impress the shit out of them with cameo after cameo after cameo of impressive and somewhat obscure movie stars, you know, Danny Glover standing next to Bill Murray in 2019 is a sight to behold, and it will make anybody in your life go, "Whoa, this is Danny Glover and Bill Murray standing together," and there's Adam Driver. Oh, and Steve Buscemi's in the shot. Like, it's just a weird, kind of like Easter egg of a movie that really keeps delivering impressive stuff.
So yeah, go see it. Please tell everyone about it. It deserves to be watched. 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, let's get into taglines.
Here's taglines.
Okay, taglines is a bit where we come up with alternate taglines for the movie that we are reviewing. All right, I'll go first. The dead don't die.
The city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Ghostbusters. That's great. The dead don't die. We are the future we were afraid of. We're living
That's
it.
a good one, yeah. The dead don't die. Like Fargo, but with zombies.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, all right. The Dead Don't Die. The latest promotional campaign for Sturgill Simpson. The Dead Don't Die.
The dead don't die.
Fuck Farmer Miller.
Of course Tom Waits is the only survivor of the zombie apocalypse. That makes perfect sense.
All right, that was Taglines. All right, let's get into horror movie news.
This just in.
So there have been a couple cool things that have come across that my feed that, you know, I see lots of stuff about horror movie news, but none of it is super interesting to me to share with people.
Usually a bunch of fucking lists and shit.
Yeah. But one, and if it's super interesting, I'll post it on our social media. So follow us on Facebook or Twitter. First item, Steven Spielberg's creating a horror show that you can only watch at night.
Yeah, I saw this.
So it's called like Steven Spielberg at night or something. It's some after dark or something like that.
Inspired.
But it's going to be on this weird proprietary streaming service that, you know, no one's going to want to buy. But the concept is Steven Spielberg is actually going to write his own shorts. Huh? And there's going to be a series of like 10 or so. And, I mean, they're less than 20 minutes. It might be just a few minutes. But you won't be able to watch them until, in your time zone, it's after midnight.
Wow. Yeah. Wait, what is after midnight, Bryce? Because, I mean, you know, this is the Gremlins thing, basically. After midnight could mean anything.
It's such a great premise, because that's the ideal time to watch scary stories.
Yeah.
And Steven Spielberg gets it.
Senor Spielbergo.
And I think Steven Spielberg is forgotten and underappreciated with how good of a horror storyteller he is.
Yeah, he's well, I mean, he's one of the best storytellers of our time.
Right. I always say Steven Spielberg is the best director, the best living director. And I always get eye rolls like, Steven Spielberg. But I'm like, dude, it's Steven Spielberg.
Did you fucking see Jurassic Park?
Did
you see Jurassic Park?
You could like take his catalog and there's very few movies out of his catalog that you could pick and say this could not make someone's entire career.
Right.
Like, if he just did Schindler's List, he would be a legendary director for all time if he didn't do any other movie that's of note.
Yeah, really Steven Spielberg's biggest problem is that he is Steven Spielberg.
Right.
Which is to say, he did Schindler's List and then followed it up with Jurassic Park.
Was that the order?
I don't know. I think it was 91 and 92.
I mean,
but
he's got range.
But imagine doing that.
Yeah.
You can't top Schindler's. Oh, here's Jurassic Park. Like now you've muddied the water with good stuff. Right. Now there's too much good stuff now.
Yeah, there's another news item that I didn't put in here, but Quentin Tarantino is really in talks and seriously considering a Star Trek, a rated R Star Trek feature that he wrote.
Whoa.
And that is it feels so crazy, but basically that's Steven Spielberg's entire career.
A rated R Star Trek?
Just doing completely disparate genres and different types. I mean, Quentin Tarantino has been very consistent with the tone and types of movies he's made.
Yeah,
lots of different genres, but really, it's the Quentin Tarantino version of that.
Right.
You know, Quentin Tarantino's Western or Quentin Tarantino's war movie. Steven Spielberg just makes the greatest type of movie in that genre, and it's not specific to him. He's just really good at storytelling.
Jaws.
Yeah, Jaws. There's Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I just watched Hook on TV the other day.
The best kids movie.
It's so good.
The best.
If you watch that as a parent and as like a middle-aged person, it completely takes on a different tone than when I watched it as a kid. Anyways, enough sucking Steven Spielberg's dick right now.
How much do you, if you're some small little streaming service, how much do you got? Like, how do you even get Steven Spielberg's attention?
Well, I think it's his friend runs it or something like that.
Oh, this makes sense.
So that'll be cool when that comes out. Second item, the Dr. Sleep trailer has come out. I know you haven't watched it because you never watch any trailers. But this is the Shining sequel starring Ewan McGregor and directed by Mike Flanagan.
I've seen side-by-sides of the trailer of this next to the shots of The Shining.
Yeah.
And it's alarming.
Yeah, they didn't use clips from The Shining. They recreated it, and it was alarming how close it was.
So is that what this movie is? A recreation of The Shining?
No, it's the sequel. So Stephen King wrote Dr. Sleep as a sequel to The Shining, and it tells the story of Danny as he's an adult.
Okay.
And it really explores the shine or like that side of it a lot more. But from the looks of the trailer, I don't know anything about it, but from the looks of the trailer, he revisits the Overlook Hotel.
It'll be interesting. It's so ballsy to wade into the visual waters or even the storytelling waters of Kubrick.
Yeah.
You know, if you're talking about the best,
right.
The best at producing well thought out, well produced visuals.
Yeah, I don't think, from the looks of it, it's not going to be trying to imitate Kubrick's film or Kubrick style. It's going to be its own thing and pull visuals from the original when they need it. But I mean, Mike Flanagan hasn't made a bad movie yet.
That's true.
So I'm really excited about seeing that. That's coming out November 9th. Another item, Jordan Peele saw Midsommar, which is a movie that we're really excited about seeing. I guess that's next month.
Ari Aster? Yeah.
That's in a couple of weeks. And he was quoted as saying to Ari Aster, he texted him immediately after watching it, and he said, "I think you've made the most idyllic horror film of all time." And in a in a interview between him and Ari Aster on I think it was The Hollywood Reporter, he said,
I saw this
hasn't existed yet, and anything after Midsommar is going to have to contend with it. I mean, this usurps The Wicker Man as the most iconic pagan movie to be referenced.
My nipples are
high praise,
rock solid.
Yeah, I'm super excited. There's a couple movies coming out from oh God, Jesus! He's pushing his T-shirt against his nipples, and they're literally erect. God, I am so.
Drink it in.
I just vomited in my mouth.
No.
So there's a couple great movies coming out that from directors that I really like their last film. So there's a new movie from the woman that directed The Babadook, which has gotten a lot of buzz around basically how horrifying it is and how graphic it is. And then what's the other one? There's another one. Oh, another one coming out by the director of The Witch. The Lighthouse, starring the Green Goblin.
Oh, yeah.
God damn it!
Wow, this is going to drive me nuts.
Willem Dafoe.
Thank you.
God damn it. And who's the other guy? It was Willem Dafoe and some other young actor. We really prepare for each episode. Oh, Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe.
Okay.
I'm excited to see that. And then finally, Blumhouse announced that they're going to do a Black Christmas remake.
Yeah.
Another Black Christmas remake.
Another one.
They just did one
in 2012?
Yeah, 2012.
Something like that.
And it's going to be released this December.
Wow.
Like mid-December.
That'll be interesting.
On Friday the 13th.
That'll be interesting to see what they say. Definitely got the Black Christmas. If you're not familiar, we do have an episode reviewing the original Black Christmas. And
that movie is revered in horror circles, and I could not enjoy it.
It's historic for a couple reasons. It's not the first to do the he's in the house, the killer's in the house thing, but it's
probably the most notable.
And then also it did start the seasonal horror movie trend.
Yeah, so if you don't know, Halloween, the original Halloween was originally intended to be a sequel to Black Christmas.
Right. Yes. So Black Christmas is an iconic movie, although really slow by our standards today.
Yeah.
And it could work really well, like if it was done well. But I don't know. Blumhouse has some real impressive hits and some real just whiffs.
What are the whiffs in your mind?
We just recently saw one that was a pretty big whiff. I can't remember what
was it. Escape Room? Was that a Blumhouse one?
No, I don't think so.
Or The Prodigy?
No, we just saw it. Like within the last. What were the last couple episodes we've done?
We did The Perfection.
Oh, it was Get Out.
Get Out.
I'm sorry. Not Get Out. Ma. I'm sorry.
Oh, Ma.
Yeah. That was Blumhouse.
Yeah, I like that one though.
Yeah, I know you do. I really didn't. To me, that's
anyway. So I mean, I think Blumhouse is just basically looking at the success that they had from the Halloween reboot. And they're like, yeah, let's reboot iconic horror movies and update them for today.
Yeah,
and we'll make $1 billion. Anyway, so that's horror movie news. If you've got anything you want us to talk about or anything you're excited about, drop us a line. So you've wasted another hour listening to two schlubs talk about horror movies, but we hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please share the podcast with a friend. You know people that like horror movies, or even if you just frequent, subreddits around horror or pages or stuff around horror.
You want to talk about We Owe You Big Time? You share our posts get onto our website, Horror Movie Talk. Grab one of the posts and share it to some subreddit. Yeah. Oh, baby, me love you long time.
And
if you nipples are so
Jesus. If you are a Redditor, we do have a subreddit, r/Horror Movie Talk. You can subscribe to us there. Also, just the plugs that we already mentioned. Just again, Shudder. Use code HMT at checkout. Get a 30-day free trial.
Instead of that stupid 7-day free trial. Get out of here.
Fuck that 7 days.
Get out of here. 7 days.
7 days ain't worth shit.
You're not welcome in this house.
Go to horrormovietalk.com. Click on the buttons in the banner. You got two choices. You got Amazon Associates. You can just spend on what you're going to spend on Amazon anyways. Whether it's renting a horror movie that we mentioned, or buying your favorite Blu-ray of Night of the Living Dead,
that massive butt plug you were gonna,
or buying that banana tree holder that you've been meaning to buy. Just do that. Or if you want to be a much more direct and get even more sweet content, become a patron on Patreon. This month will be the last month that you can get the coveted tier of Horror Movie Talk founding member.
Wow, we just transported into an alternate universe.
As a Horror Movie Talk founding member, you will get all of the ongoing perks of future tiers as long as you stay a patron. This includes after pods, mini pods. We have a mini pod on Chernobyl, probably as stuff comes out, or TV series or horror adjacent content, we might do a little mini episode and post it to Patreon, and any other extra content we produce. Get in while the getting's good. Also, this month we have a special offer. Receive a custom sticker made special by Horror Movie Talk. It's nice. It's vinyl. It's HMT, baby.
Hey, baby.
So, special thanks to our current patrons. And we've mentioned them before. We have a supporters page on horrormovietalk.com. You can see them all listed out. And if you want to get your ego stroked, become a patron, we'll put you up there.
Yeah, this is a free podcast, y'all, and it does cost us a decent amount of money to go see movies and keep the lights on.
Yep.
So,
also, special thanks to Benevolent Badger for our horror movie news bumper music.
The Benevolent Badger or the King of All Badgers?
That's both.
Oh, okay.
I think his website is the Benevolent Badger. I think he also calls himself the King of All Badgers.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
Those badgers, they have a lot of titles.
Yeah. If you search Benevolent Badger online, you can access him and get him to write stuff for you.
Yeah.
So that is Horror Movie Talk for today. We'll see you next week. And if you're a patron, check your Patreon feed for the Afterpod that we're just going to record.
Fresh, new Afterpod.
See ya. Wouldn't want to be ya. Bye.
I love you. Bye-bye.
I've changed my mind. I think I would want to be you.